beautiful Kyoto. This is definitely one of the busier areas of the city. It's called Gion. And I'm going to show you what I love about this city in the next 15 seconds. It's the sleepy, slow, relaxed pace of life that is a complete contrast from the fast-paced, chaotic energy of Tokyo. Welcome to Kyoto. Come have a look around in our apartment. You have to squeeze past me. This place is absolutely tiny, although still an upgrade compared to our Tokyo apartment. So over here, this is the main living area where we have a bed, one side table, and finally a decent office space. This will come in handy over the next week when we're here. And then if we come this way, we have our fridge. We've got a little bit of storage in here. Actually quite roomy, enough for me to stand it, which we had no storage in Tokyo, so this has been an upgrade. And then we've got our bathroom in here, which is, and I'm not exaggerating here, literally double the size of the one that we just came from. And that's the tour. So it's not much, but it's home, and it's also half the price of what I would be paying in rent back in Melbourne. So can't complain. Welcome to the Kyoto office, aka our hotel room. I mentioned in the last video how I was really struggling with my neck and shoulder pain, and I still am for that matter, but it was due to not having a proper office set up and being hunched over a laptop all the time. So what I've done here is a makeshift standing desk using the fridge, and it might not look pretty, but it actually does the job pretty well. It is Friday, 7:04 p.m. and as you can hear in my voice, I am a little bit under the weather. So I haven't really left this makeshift standing desk today, except to go to a cafe for a couple of hours and do some work there. But even though there's a lot happening in Kyoto and there's so many things that I want to go see, unfortunately the last 24 hours have been pretty slow paced. So just using it as an opportunity to rest and get some work done. We have the launch of the Founder Sports Club coming up on Monday, so whether I like it or not, I have to put in the hours over the next couple of days to get that up and running. I'll go stretch the legs now and then tuck in early and hopefully feeling bright and dandy again tomorrow. But hey, I guess that's what happens when you're traveling and trying to squeeze everything in. Sometimes your body is just like, no, take a break. So that's how I'm feeling right now. So let's go for a walk. Hey guys, so it's Saturday, 4:30 p.m. It's about 37 degrees outside, and I've barely left the hotel room today because, as you can hear, I'm still not very well. Luckily, it does feel a lot better than it sounds, but I've got my vitamins that I've brought all the way from Australia to help me have a speedy recovery. So I thought I'd use this time to share a few of my learnings and observations of what has really stood out to me about the cultural differences in Japan. Actually, you know what? I think I'm due for a walk. I'm gonna go get some sun, and we're gonna do this in a way more aesthetic place because this is a boring hotel room. So I'm gonna click my fingers, we'll be somewhere else. Okay, that's way better. So this is a beautiful, quiet spot of Kyoto, and actually resembles how I felt about the whole city, really, which is slow, sleepy, calm, and even though I'm next to a main road,
I have the beautiful sounds of the water behind me, so it's a good mix. So now that I'm here and I've got a nicer backdrop, here are 6 things that have stood out to me for Japanese culture that I didn't expect. Number 1, which I absolutely love, is when people are riding their bikes around, everyone rides so slowly. It's like they're not in a rush to get anywhere and they're just appreciating the exercise and enjoying the scenery as they go. Number 2, most people take umbrellas with them during the day in the summertime, which is admittedly quite smart and probably something that other cultures should adopt. Number 3, despite being one of the cleanest places in the world, certainly one of the cleanest I've ever been to, there's actually so few public rubbish bins floating around. So not sure how they do it, but I think it probably stems back to the culture of exceptionally well-mannered, polite, beautiful human beings everywhere, and the common purpose to create a city and a country that is as clean and enjoyable and hospitable as possible. The next thing that I really admire is the efficiency and the optimization of all of the systems. Everything just runs so smoothly, from the trains to the restaurants to the hotels. It's never complicated, it's never chaotic, it's quite simple. And the last thing that really stands out is the blend between old and new. We saw it in Tokyo, and if you haven't seen my last episode, make sure to go back and watch that one. But it's very similar here in Kyoto, where you'll go around the corner and you'll find centuries old temples, and then you'll go around another corner and you'll find modern train stations with high-rise hotels and fancy shops and restaurants. So the perfect blend of traditional meets modern, of old versus new, of ancient versus cosmopolitan. Everything you want, anything you want, you can find it here. And that's why I think it's so easy to overstay here, because no matter what you want your experience to be, it's quite easy to find it. Of course, the language barrier can be difficult, but I've found so far that everyone has been so welcoming and so patient with me. Despite learning Japanese in year 7 and year 8, the only thing I can remember to say is "Doko kara kimashita ka?" Australia, which is, I think, where are you from? Australia. And "Aisukurimu desu ka?" which means, do you have ice cream? So there you go. Now I'm going to go wander around, see some of the nightlife. Fortunately, I am feeling a fair bit better than earlier. So while I've got the energy, I'm going to use it, but definitely planning on having a good night's sleep tonight and then attacking tomorrow with a full schedule. So we'll catch you later. This is the Kiyomizu Temple, and words can't really do it justice. Well worth the hour-long walk to get here. So that was one angle, and this is the other, more realistic angle with tourists everywhere. So don't always believe what you see on social media, folks. Okay, I have found this beautiful piece of solitude near the top of Mount Inari, and it's taken about an hour and a half to hike up thousands upon thousands of stairs, and I am pretty exhausted, the legs are sore, but it's all been worthwhile because we've been able to escape the crowds and really appreciate for what this place is, which is special and spiritual and sacred. One of the things I actually hate about traveling is when you get to a beautiful spot like this that has thousands of years of history and it's really one of a kind in the world, and there are selfie stick wielding tourists and crowds that you have to elbow your way through. And notwithstanding being part of the problem being here, it's not the reason why I travel. So it's great to make my way up the mountain, and the higher we got, the more peaceful it got, the more nature sounds there are. So now there's no sounds of people taking photos or buying souvenirs. It's just the sound of birds and nature, which I love. So very grateful to be here. Now I see what all the fuss is about. Hey guys, so there you go, another week in the books, another week of full-time travel and building a business at the same time. And I can tell you this week has been very up and down. As you can see, my scenery is a bit different. I'm actually in Osaka right now. We just got here and it's a very different feeling. I've got a freeway behind me, there's high-rise buildings everywhere the eye can see. But to wrap up the episode with the same thing I do every week, I'm going to share 2 highlights, 2 lowlights, and 2 learnings from the past week in Kyoto. I've written them down here on my phone, which hopefully I don't bump, because if I do, I'll never see it again. So, highlight number 1 was going to Fushimi and Mount Inari. The visuals speak for themselves. It's one of those places that really epitomizes what the image of Japan is. And I thought it was going to be a very busy tourist attraction, which it was to start with, but it ended up being an hour-and-a-half hike to the top of the mountain, which was incredible. And even though it was a little bit anticlimactic at the top, the cliche is true. It was about the journey and walking through those thousands and thousands of vermilion gates. So that was an amazing experience. Highlight number 2 was officially launching the Founders Sports Club. We had done a soft launch. We had a wait list that filled up very quickly. And then just recently, we officially announced it over our socials, over our emails, and to our waitlist signups. And now there's actually people who are giving us their credit card details to be part of the Founders Sports Club. So it's been very much a bare bones, get this thing live as quick as we can kind of approach. But the feedback has been great, and I can't wait to see how it all unfolds. So I'll put a link somewhere in the comments in the description if you want to go check it out for yourself as well. Now for the lowlights. These ones are pretty obvious. Lowlight number 1 was being sick, having a croaky voice all week. It's the realities of travel. When you try to do too much, your body just says no sometimes, which is what happened to me. And lowlight number 2 is I actually just keep losing so many things. I'm usually so organized and can keep track of all my stuff really well. I also don't really travel with much, but I've already lost 1, my hat, 2, my earbuds, 3, my microphone. This is the spare one. And 4, a shirt, but then I found that shirt. So still not ideal. Gotta figure out a better way to keep track of my stuff. So if you see any of those things, let me know. I think the earbuds are on the plane somewhere in Taiwan at the airport, but what can you do? And now for my learnings. Learning number 1, the business one, is that you can get creative with your agreements with people. Sure, some people want a traditional salary, but other people are more in it for the growth and the learning, and they want to be compensated based on the expertise they bring. So that's something that we've been doing with Art of Mondays, is bringing on high performers and incentivizing 50% of their payment to growth outcomes. So for example, Mo, who we brought on as our performance marketer, half of his compensation is tied to the amount of conversions that he gets through the ads that he runs. And he knows that he's a gun ad buyer, and we also want to make sure it's a win-win situation for us. And this is exactly how we're doing it. It's a similar story with our video editor. We pay a base rate, but this video editor is very incentivized to create content that goes viral. So we're paying essentially per view, because we know how much a view is roughly worth to us. And that way we can work backwards and know that, again, if a video goes viral, yes, we might be paying thousands of dollars in bonuses, but we can break that down into how much that viral video is worth in terms of new members signing up. And learning number 2, which is the personal one, is that I think it is absolutely critical. I feel a night and day difference when I do and don't put on my metaphorical morning body armor. So what that means is getting up in the morning and taking it slow, taking time to start the day right, to meditate, to exercise. That's the big one for me. If I don't do those things and I go straight into checking my phone, I feel the equivalent as if I've let 100 people just come into my room and start screaming different things at me. That's kind of the feeling I get from checking emails or Slack or social media first thing in the morning. So if I can ground myself and get myself ready for whatever the day throws at me, that's the so-called armor metaphor, then I feel like no matter what comes my way, I can approach it in a much more calm and strategic way. It's definitely work in progress. Some days I still fall victim to the old bad habits, but I'm working on it, and I guess that's all we can ask for. It's a common theme though. It's like when you're on the road traveling full time, I think the most important thing is looking after myself and then thinking about work and sightseeing and booking accommodation and everything else after that. Because if I don't look after my health, if I don't eat well, if I don't exercise, then it's super hard to actually enjoy and appreciate the day-to-day of what is, a life that a lot of people would really be grateful to have. So I want to appreciate my life when I'm in this position and I'm able to work and travel. And I know that to do that, I need to look after myself and then do the travel aspect second. So that's my update for the week. Next week we'll be in Osaka, which that's where I am now. As you can see, it's a bit of a concrete jungle, but sneak peek is that it's going to be crazy. It's going to be a lot of ups and downs, and I can tell you right now that I'm going to share something pretty vulnerable. So I'd love if you could subscribe, and then you'll be notified when that video drops next week. That's it. Another week in paradise. So thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you being here, and we will see you next week on Monday Moments. Peace, guys.